Good evening and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I'm Tony Rathman.
And I am Cherie.
Chris Allgood.
Audra Keeler.
Ron, your mic's muted.
Yeah, I wanted to working on lip reading myself, just for when I'm by myself. And so it's not working.
I think you said Ron Yacovetti, and then I think she said Lourdes Gonzalez.
That would be
Was that
correct.
close?
Yeah,
Circle
pretty
gets a
close.
square. Yes, correct.
Please, everyone, let us know what you think about the new mime portion of the show.
Yeah.
Almost every episode.
Tonight, we have a very special guest. Tonight, we have Rob Hernandez. Rob is the founder and manager of PCH Paranormal. He is the radio host of Live Paranormal. And Rob is an excellent spirit box builder, and I know that from personal experience. But anyway, Rob, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first question, and this is one that we always ask, but Rob, how did you get involved in the paranormal? What led you down the path to this current venture down the paranormal lane?
All right. So, at a very young age, I had a couple of experiences. So, one, we were at my mom's girlfriend's house. We went over there to visit her. And so I had to go to the restroom. And I was finishing up doing my thing. I was about 5 at that time. Anyway, I turned around, and in the back of the room across the hall, I saw a man with a hat with a long coat on, had like tails. So I ran. And, I didn't flush the toilet. Needless to say, I didn't turn off the light.
Your hands too.
I didn't wash my hands. I just ran.
Gosh.
So my mom and her friend said, "What's going on?" And I just said, "Nothing." And they were like, "No, what happened?" I said, "Nothing. I was just, kind of not knowing what to say." And they said, "What happened?" And I said, "Well, I saw somebody standing there." And she said, "What did you see?" And I kind of described what I saw. And they said, "Okay, go ahead and just watch TV." It was probably nothing. It was probably just a shadow. So coming from outside, some of them were like, "Just go watch TV." So then I heard them talking. "Oh yeah, he saw what I was telling you about." They were just talking about that, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So I guess she's been seeing that for a while. And so later on, and when that did happen, I had like this feeling, it was like a really bad, like somebody that has really bad anxiety. It's the only way I could describe it. So later, a few more times, we would go to people's houses. We would go somewhere, and it was weird. Anytime I went to the bathroom, I would get that feeling. So I didn't really know what it was. So later on, in I was about 12. We went to this location for a wedding called the Olivas Adobe. And I went up, and it's like an old house. It's an old adobe that was owned by the Olivas family. And they host weddings and parties there and things like that. So I was in the courtyard, and we were just waiting for a rehearsal and other people to get there. So I just went exploring. I went upstairs. And went up the stairs. This was like outside, so there's like an outside balcony. So I went up the stairs, was kind of wandering around, and I started getting that feeling again. So I was like, huh. So I started looking through the windows. I looked through one window, and I saw this lady in black. She was walking across the living room, kind of looked at me, and then started walking towards me, and I ran.
Wow.
So I ran down the stairs, ran and sat down, and everybody was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Nothing." And they're like, you ran pretty fast. Did you get scared or something? And I was like, no. So, so I started putting 2 and 2 together, what that feeling was. So I started talking to people. My friend's mom was Indian, Native American, and she sat me down one day and she kind of was telling me about my background because she was like, I guess, a psychic. And I didn't know, at that time, I'm 12. Right. I'm like, whatever. Right. So there wasn't internet. There wasn't, the only information we could get is like at libraries or if you talk to other people. Right. So she said, hey, you're just really interesting. I need you to find out about your background. Who in your, in your background was Indian? And I was like, I really don't know. I know my grandpa, possibly my grandma on my dad's side, so I started. So she said, no, sit down. So then she started doing a reading on me and I didn't know what she was doing. And then she kind of explained to me what was happening and kind of explained to my past life. And then she said, do you see things and it kind of freaks you out and things like that? And I said, all the time. And so she said, you need to take that. And she said, you have a gift. And a lot of people don't realize what that gift is. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, you can see into the future. You can see into the past and things like that. So I'm like, wait, how do you know this? Because she was explaining a lot of things that I was experiencing in my life. So she said, did your parents ever explain anything to you? And I said, no, the only thing that they did was I had to go to the doctor and I had to talk to somebody and this and that. They were saying that I'm afraid of the dark and this and that. She's like, you're not afraid of the dark. And she said, you have an ability and you're sensing things that are there and you don't know how to handle it. So it scared you and you would run. And I said, no, that's exactly it. I would run, I'd turn on all the lights whenever I'd get that feeling. And they said, no, that's normal. They said, a doctor's not going to be able to solve that. And she said, you're going to have to learn how to cope with it. And so basically that's how I got into the paranormal.
Wow.
You got to beat that problem right away or somebody else is going to have to flush the toilets.
That's right. No, exactly.
Wasn't just the ghost left floating.
I have a question, Rob. Does abilities run in your family? Is it like a generation thing, or you're the only one in your family that has the abilities?
No, no. So one of my aunts, a couple of my mom's sisters, both have abilities, and one of my aunts, my mom's little sister, was telling me that. She asked me, would you have dreams where you were in other places? And I said, yeah.
Wow.
And she said, would you see places that you've never been before and you could describe them like you were there? And I said, all the time.
Yeah.
So she said, yeah. She said, I would notice when you were little that you would astral project because when you would wake up, you would start telling the stories and there's no way that you would remember this because you weren't even born yet. And you were describing places that you've been, places that they used to visit, like relatives' homes and things like that. So I said, yeah, you have these abilities. So
wow. Do you find, Rob, that one of the reasons that, because it seems like, and this happens a lot, I think, in what we do, that people knew they were on to maybe having the gift, they're familiar with it. Some of them had the gift before, but because it was taboo as a generational thing, nobody tipped you off on it until you already stepped it and they go, oh yeah, that we know. And you're like, what?
No, exactly right. And I was afraid to say anything because, I was a kid and what am I going to say? They're going to think I'm crazy. They're already taking me to a doctor saying that I'm afraid of the dark. So I'm not going to say anything.
Right.
So I remember hearing the therapist and my mom talking. They were saying he's not afraid of the dark. There's something more going on with him, and they just didn't know what it was.
Have you had? Maybe I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but this immediately jumped into my head. Have you had the ability to replicate the experience? Have you been able to astral project by design since then? Okay.
Yeah.
And have you ever had any near-death experience?
No near-death experiences, but doing remote viewings, things like that, I can do like all the time. If
And your
somebody asks
recollection
me,
of what you see is pretty high, right? You're able to retain what
oh
you
no,
see?
yeah. Well, here's an example. So this is kind of a funny story, but
Yes.
so I was working. I worked really close with a few individuals, and just one day, and one of the ladies I worked with was a manager, and it was weird because I had a dream the night before, and I saw her house, like I was standing there and wandering around, and she was telling me that her house was haunted. So she said, I'm gonna have you come over to my house one day and just check it out. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I had a dream about her house, and she wasn't there. So it was weird. I walked up and seen the house and kind of remembered everything. And I did a whole walkthrough of the house. So I went into her office in the morning when I got into work while it was fresh on my mind. And I said, hey, Linda, I need to talk to you. And she said, what's up? And I said, well, I had a dream about you. She said, oh, God. I was like, no, it's nothing like that. And I said, it was not about you, it was about your house. And then I said, I saw it, and I let me describe it to you, and let me know if I'm even close. So she said, okay. So I said, well, you walk down the hall, blah, blah, blah. Here's the living room's on this side, bedroom's on this side. You walk through, and then there's a door you have to go through to get back to the back of the house. She said, wait. What did you just say? And I said, dude, there's a door with like a big beam that you have to walk through. I said, I looked up and there's a big beam, but then there's the wall and you have to walk through that. And she said, wait a minute. She said, you just said something that nobody knows about except the contractors and the people that lived in the house before us. She said, wow. We need to go to my house. And I said, okay. So she said, tell one of my coworkers that we're going to go to my house for lunch. I'll buy you guys lunch. So we went through there, and she said, walk around my house. Tell me what you see. And I'm walking through, and I was like, wait a minute. Where's the door? I said, the support beam's there, but where's the door? She said, exactly. We knocked that down when we first moved in to open up that side of the house. Wow. So I said, so then I walked through and I was like, wait a minute, do you hear a man with boots, heavy boots, walking through this part of the house? And she said, yeah. And she said, what else do you feel? And then so I started walking through, and then I described the back guest house. I said, something happened in the back guest house. She said, yeah, a little girl got hurt by one of her dad's tools. She was trying to get something and the tool fell, and it pierced her. It pierced her lung, and she ended up dying.
Oh man!
And yeah, so that was kind of anyway. So
wow,
that's fascinating. I was asking about the near-death part of it too, because there's been extensive studies with the comparisons between. There's so much similarity between near-death experience and astral projection or out of body. And one of the core differences is that there's involved with the near-death what's called an ASE. It's an altered state of consciousness, which seems to inhibit memory retention for a certain period of it, but not prevalent in astral projection or out of body. It seems to be more exclusive to near death. So that's why I was asking if you had that kind of a situation before too.
Yeah, no, nothing like that happened. But yeah, it just runs in my family, and it's happened.
The generation thing. That's amazing.
Yeah. My great grandmother was known to do that. So
that's amazing, Rob. So let me ask you a question though. It sounds like obviously having this start at a very young age for you, and being able to see and sense things that most people can't. When did you decide, once you got a grasp of this information, when did you actually did you start going out searching for spirits and entities, or did they always come find you?
A little bit of both. I went there was, you know, when you're kids, you always hear about, oh, this place is haunted or that place is haunted. It's always like a myth. Somebody, the old lady down the street is a witch or whatever.
Right.
But there was some, but there was some really old ranch houses that were on ranch property, and they were all like, I guess, colonial style homes, or yeah. So, you know, I mean, they were just like old 2-story homes that were like Victorian style type. But these were built here in California, which were all ranch style, but they kind of had that flavor. So there was a couple that moved out. There was a terrible murder on their property, to where 2 teenagers were murdered. So they all moved off the property, and my friends and I said, hey, let's ride over there. And once we got there, everybody chickened out and rode off, and I said, I'm going in. So they all left me, and I went in on my bike, and I just hid my bike in the bushes, and then I went into one of the back doors, went in, and I started walking around, and it was abandoned. All of a sudden I heard something walking upstairs, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not alone. So kind of freaked me out. So I started to run out the door, and I saw a shadow coming down the door. I looked up, and there was a lady in Victorian style clothes. And I just hauled ass and went out. Kind of told everybody what happened. They're like, oh, you're full of crap. So, you know, at that time, I was like, okay, maybe it was somebody there, right? But because I was still, like again, I was only 12 years old, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
So later, all of those houses were moved onto a different property. So they relocated the houses, and they created what they call Heritage Square.
Oh.
So, yeah, so
Is that Heritage Junction?
No, that's there. There's like 4 Heritage Squares here in California. Well, here in Southern California. This one is near, it's in Oxnard, California.
Okay.
Anyway, so I knew one of the caretakers of the property. So they did tours and things like that. And so I went over there to visit them after hours. And I said, wait a minute, this house, where was it moved from? And he told me. And I said, was it because there was 2 houses that were across the street from each other. Was this the one on the south side? And they said, yeah. And I said, wait a minute, I was in that house when I was a kid. And they said, did you experience anything? I said, footsteps upstairs and a woman walking down the stairs. And they said, wait, you saw the woman? And I said, yeah. They said that a couple of the workers have seen her. And they said, what was she wearing? And I said, well, she was wearing a long dress. It was Victorian clothes. Her hair was up. And they said, yeah, that's her. So, yeah, he showed me a picture, and I was just like, oh, my God, yeah, that was her. So
that's amazing. That's incredible. So the house was relocated, and the contractors or builders or remodelers or whatever you want to call them, they're the ones who were seeing this while they were in it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did they have any of those typical situations when a remodel or something's getting done and like tools go missing and like people quit, you know?
You know, I mean, I asked that and nobody really knew. It was later that they started experiencing things once everything was settled. So I always ask that too. I mean, because, you know, that's what I've experienced when I was younger, that we were remodeling in the house that my mom's in now. And yeah, there was all hell broke loose.
Oh,
wow.
That's awesome.
That's amazing, Rob. So one last question before I get into a couple of your EVPs here, but how long have you been involved in? I mean, obviously you just gave us a great history of kind of how as a child this kind of presented itself to you. But if you had to pick a year mark and say, okay, I've been involved in the paranormal for X amount of years, well, what would that number be?
Trying to think. At least 30 years, 35.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to think. Actually, it's been about 40 years.
Wow.
Wow. Did he start as an embryo? Because he looks too young. I've done that.
I'm not going to reveal my age, but yeah, I'm a lot older than I look.
I have a question.
So it was started from the womb.
She makes a
Hey
good point.
Rob, I have a question. So
What's
when
up?
is the time you actually decided, okay, I'm gonna go investigate, or because you create boxes, right? Like spirit box.
He does.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you actually start? I'm gonna build this one so I can communicate with the spirits. So when is that starts?
That didn't happen. I mean, that was only a few years ago. I was very skeptical with spirit boxes. I mean, even though I've had so many paranormal experiences, I still call myself a skeptic because there are so many locations that claim to be haunted. I go in there, walk through, I don't feel anything. I will spend, and seriously, I'll spend a couple of days in that location just to see if anything changes. Nothing. And then come to find out, doing a lot of background investigations on the location, a lot of the things that have gone on there have been made up.
That happens a lot.
Trying to get people to come in. So,
wow.
So, guys, can I point something out? So Rob was talking about his astral projection, and this is just an observation that I've caught. Normal people, when they're talking about memories that they have, will look down. This is a physical observation because they're trying to think of stuff that they remember. If you pay real close attention to Rob, and this isn't the first time I've noticed this. I noticed this when we met down in Ajo and did an investigation with Rob down at the hospital, is he looks up. So it's almost like he's reading from a projection of what he remembers in his mind. And you'll notice that people that are connected with astral project, I call it a mind's eye, where they look up at the projection, kind of like it's projected on the wall and they're remembering their memories. Normal people in a normal situation that are trying to recall something will look down because they're trying to remember the memory in their head. But watch Rob closely when he talks about memories. He looks up. He's looking at that projection that he's projecting out. It's like he's reading it from a paint on the wall. I just wanted to point that out because it's.
I do that too.
But
it's a great observation.
I do that too because it's kind of like I'm looking into a camera. And that's the way I always think it's like a camera. I always tend to like I don't know. It's true though.
I do that too.
No, that was great. That's great that you pointed that out, Chris, because when I do try to look back on things, it is like I'm looking into a mirror. I mean, I know that's weird or whatever, but it's like I'm looking into a mirror and it's bringing back those memories.
Yeah, that's a better description than a camera. Yeah.
All of this is weird, first of all. So.
No, it's our norm, though. So.
Yes, it is. Brilliant observation by Chris. And again, he's the details guy, man. It's so important because you know what? Because a lot of times what we do in producing stuff that is beyond what they consider the norm, not only does the evidence and the scenario within which it's captured come into question, so does our own personal credibility and integrity.
Right.
So observation of physical behavior, stuff like that Chris seems to do just second nature is really important too. And to pick up that kind of a subtlety is fantastic.
Yeah, that was an amazing observation. And great job pointing that out. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Now that I think back and when I go back and rewatch it, I'll really take notice because you pointed it out. But excellent job, Chris.
It's going to be a drinking game now. Every time he looks up.
Okay, so I want to play one of Rob's EVPs that he has. And Rob, the one I'm going to play is called Baby Crying. Do you want to give just a little background as to where this was captured and what location, things like that?
So the reason why I gave you the background of where basically my career started was the location. It's called Olivas Adobe, was us going into the Adobe. I spent countless hours there. I mean, you can go in there and just, give a donation. They won't let you investigate, but, you just have to be a little sneaky about what you're doing. So I did that when I think I turned 18. I started going there, spending a lot of time there. And then we were able to do an actual investigation where there was a local ghost hunter who was kind of a mentor for me when I was growing up. I would talk to him a lot. So I brought, he's the one that got us in. So we ended up doing, this was the second or third investigation there. So he left. He just unlocked the doors, let us in. He left. And I set up a few. So it's basically a 2-story house. There's what they call the sala, or the living room. Then there's a dining room, and then there was like a sewing room, and then the bedrooms were upstairs. There was a chapel upstairs, and then the master bedroom, and then the kids' room. So in the sala, we used as basically to store all our gear in and to do a brief investigation in. So I started putting static recorders in. I had 6 of them, so I put one in each room. So I set the static recorder in the sala, and we were in the back bedroom in the kids' room upstairs, which is on the total opposite side of the house. And the reason why I put sorry, I just had something in my eye. The reason why I put a recorder in that living room with the sala was, at one point when I was there for an investigation, I felt what was a little boy that kept on like grabbing my hand and was walking with me. And there was a girl that took a picture, and she actually got a picture of the little boy. And she said, "I saw him by you, so I snapped a picture, and this is what I got." And I was like, holy crap. Wow. I mean, with her to do that, and just me in my mind's eye, I was feeling a little boy. So with that corresponding, that, it was crazy. So there was a birth given in the sala, and the baby ended up dying when she was 7 days old, I believe. And there was also a little boy that I experienced, and then a few other people experienced. So that's why I put recorders down there.
All right. Well, let's play that first one. Give our audience a listen. Here comes that clip right now. Maybe.
Oh, what the heck? Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second.
It's grayed out.
Why?
Oh, there it popped up and then went away.
Yeah, it's there. Hold on. All right. I've never had this. Let's do it this way. Let me share my screen. I'll play it off of here. So
these are on SoundCloud, right?
What was that, Rob?
This was on SoundCloud?
Correct.
Yes, that is correct. Okay.
And it was awesome.
It was. Whoa. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could have sworn I heard him say "mommy" too.
Mama. Mm-hmm.
That's what undercut
her.
Yeah.
Same.
And
I was trying to clean up the clock because there was that clock, and oh my gosh, I wanted to. Here's the funny thing: you hear that clock so loud that I went to go try to move the clock, and that clock does not work.
Oh my god!
Oh wow!
Wow.
So that I never said. I put down what you heard, right? But
Right.
that clock that you heard in the background, that clock does not work.
Wow.
Wow. Because that was really loud throughout
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole.
Exactly.
Very
So-
Hitchcock.
So, Rob, in that location, how long had that clock been in that location?
That clock is still in that location.
So it's been
that-
there for.
Oh, it's been there since 1800s.
So that's a residual energy left from the clock. That's phenomenal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
crazy.
That is very,
That's
very
insane.
Hitchcock in the way it colors the EVP.
So when we heard, and this is the other thing. So we heard the baby crying, and we were, like I said, on the other side of the house. So I said, and there's a lot of coyotes that run through there, things like that. And we're like, that's no coyote, that's a baby crying. So we ran downstairs, and as we were running, we were still hearing the baby crying. So we said, is the baby outside? So we were running around looking for a baby. There was no baby. So the guy that Richard came around, his name's Richard Sennett, he came around, and I said, Richard, listen to this. And I played it, and he said, wait, where's that clock coming from? I said, what are you talking about? It's coming from right there. He said, that clock doesn't work. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't work? And because I'm thinking the same thing, right? So he's like, look. So he picks it up, and he said, listen to it. And I was like, there's no noise. He's like, I told you it doesn't work. And then, so that was one. And then he heard the baby. He said, wait a minute, you got a baby crying. And I said, yeah. And he said, there was one of the docents was saying that she was hearing the baby crying the other day, and she didn't know where it was coming from. And she said it was so loud that she thought, it was somebody, one of the visitors, or somebody was looking, was trying to feed the baby or something.
Wow.
And she was like, there was no guest, there was nobody here. So
Yeah.
That's
so we got that.
Good cat.
that's
good
a great
capture.
great
Yep.
capture.
Yeah. That's a
So
much
that
cooler
was-
version of TikTok.
So no, that was like two pieces of evidence that we had somebody else that experienced that, and they validated it for us. And then with that whole clock thing, it was like, wow.
Extra bonus. That was a
That's
bonus.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's
That
really
is
cool.
crazy. That
Yeah,
is crazy.
that's it. That is incredible. So let me ask you a question, Rob. Is the next one where the kid giggles? Is
Yeah.
that the same location?
That's the same location. And okay, when you play it, you'll hear the same thing.
All right.
So-
Let me play this for the audience. And this one is called Kid Giggle. Share the audio, and here it comes.
You want to play that again?
Yeah, let me play that one more time.
it's hard to hear because of the compression that that StreamYard does. But if you listen to these clips, if you go to SoundCloud and go to PCH Paranormal, just search for PCH Paranormal. All these clips are up there.
Yeah, they're real clear on there.
Yeah, we heard it.
They're harder to hear, like you said, because of the compression over the video streaming. But that one actually was quite impressive because there's no doubt the kid is giggling. You can hear him. It almost sounds like he's moving when you did it because there's a slight variation in the giggle.
And then you hear him running
And
away.
you can hear the okay, I was
The
gonna say footsteps.
Right.
You can hear it. It giggles and then it's like a footstep and then another giggle. I
Yeah,
can
you're
hear that
absolutely correct.
connection.
And
Yeah,
there's a
you have-
sound difference between the first and the second one, as if he moved away.
Correct.
And then the clock, right? The clock was still.
And the
Wow,
clock
yeah.
was still going.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's
I
why the
didn't
little-
catch the clock.
That's why the little bastard's giggling, because you can't record.
True. It's true.
So
That's
I
one of
was-
the things. That's one of the things that make this show so cool because we watched the evidence, we heard the giggle and footsteps, and we thought, "Wow, this is really cool stuff." And then when we get on the show, there's another level or layer to it with the clock that we didn't even realize we were hearing something else that was anomalous. That's phenomenal. I love that.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say anything.
That's so cool.
And when I first heard it, because I was listening to the playback, and I was like, I was so upset because of that clock, right? It was just because it was so loud. And then I was like, how do you turn off this clock? And that's when I was telling Richard, and he's like, what are you talking about? That clock doesn't work. And I said, no, it does. Listen. And he was like, wait, what's that? And where's that clock sound coming from? So, yeah, there's no working clocks in that place.
See, and that is why you should watch Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence every week, because we have phenomenal guests like Rob that have phenomenal evidence, and there's a surprise around every corner. So make sure you watch, people.
No, but how funny is it that the noise you're annoyed with turns out to be one of the best paranormal captures there is, not even knowing that it wasn't working and that sound wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So, it's, you always have to be very careful when you're listening to your evidence. I almost threw them out because of that. I almost deleted them.
Hey,
I'm sorry. I was like, I thought myself, I was like, oh my God, but why would he need to record it so close to that clock? I was
Well, you know what's funny is it's that ambient noise that sometimes produces the best EVPs. Like we did an investigation at the hospital one night, and I swear to God, there was a freaking tornado outside. We had such a big monsoon, and the roof is open, and there was literally waterfalls on the second floor, and we're like, great, we're not going to catch crap. That was one of the best evidence nights we've ever had.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. If this is weird. So if you ever do a ghost box session or anything like that, and you play, if you use Calm Radio and use the storm soundtrack of the nature track, and you use that storm, you'll start hearing voices coming through they'll blow you away, and they're like, wait a minute, and it's just having that ambient rain on the background. It just intensifies everything.
Yeah. I remember when we were in the Philippines that night, it was pouring, and that water was coming down the walls and into the little puddle streams that would run on the inside of the building. That water noise produced voice after voice after voice.
Yeah, early direct radio that predates any ghost box stuff used ambient noise or white noise as audio support for EVP, and in a lot of instances like that too, that would be the result, because it's not a mechanical wave that's being created. It doesn't have the tone. So when you give it something like that to add to the vibratory part of it, that's often what you'll get. You'll get an enhanced version, or you get something that wouldn't have been capturable, but now is. And that clock thing again it's astounding, because you hear it and you could so easily just dismiss it.
Right.
I was working with this guy during an investigation, and he had like 2 huge bowls of water, and I was like, what are you doing with this water? And he was actually pouring water into an empty bowl, and then he would do it back and forth while he was doing EVPs. And I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, this is a technique that I've been working with, and he said it produces great results. And I was like, really? And I said, I would think it would contaminate the
water.
Right, we were talking to somebody about that.
Yep.
I figured it would contaminate the EVP session. No, we were playing things back, and I was like, holy crap, play that back again. And then we're like, all right, let's do this. And then we started doing it more and more. And it was crazy.
You got to wonder too if that whole water thing, because I mean, they say when you've got flowing water, or any water for that matter, that there's higher paranormal activity usually around those locations. So then you got to wonder what the connection is between literally being able to pour water back and forth from glass to glass and get better EVPs. So it's really interesting, makes you really think about what that connection is.
It's a low level vibratory sound you're adding into the environment too.
Right.
Well, it's the ambient sound, and think about it, guys. Hoover Dam produces some of the biggest energy levels used for most of the southwestern part of the United States.
Yep.
Water can produce energy transferring from one location to another. Why can't it produce energy enough for them to pull from that energy to, either Good God, my brain just shut off. That's the effect. In order to manifest or create EVPs or to communicate, you're still creating energy, pushing that water from bowl to bowl. Not only are you creating the ambient sound, but you're also producing energy that's produced by that water going back and forth.
Correct.
That is phenomenal. Wow, that is a great tool.
Yeah. All right.
That's kind of what got me into, into my new thing with the paranormal stuff.
Now, what about smart water? Because
if you throw vitamin water in there, does that help?
That might work better.
All right, so I've got one more EVP labeled tree, and this is an awesome EVP. So, audience, you're going to enjoy this. But was this the same or different location?
So we went to another location briefly. We got in there for 30 minutes. So where we were was both a men's and a women's jail in the old courthouse in Ventura. So we went upstairs, and it was basically they're using it as storage. So we just said, you know what? I have a feeling we have to go up there. We have to go in there. So one of the girls that was with us had the keys to the building. So she got us in, and I said, let's go up there. I just have a weird feeling about tonight. So we did that, and we weren't really getting anything until this EVP happened. And then after that, it was all hell broke loose.
Wow. All right.
It's amazing. Yeah. EVP. The EVP is amazing for one, and for our Italian American friends like Anthony Sanelli watching, probably important to point out that tree is not the number that comes after 2.
1, 2, 3.
You know what I'm talking about here.
He's gonna call me after the show for that. Believe me.
and there's a story. There's a little backstory to the whole thing with the tree. And we were talking about it. So in Ventura, there was up on top of the hill, there was 2 big oak trees that were on top of the hill. And they were used during when the Spanish sailors would come in or ships would come into the port. They would always use those trees as a vantage point to where the pier was. So in that building, there was 2 trees painted up on the wall. So we were talking about that. And then this happened.
All right. Let me play this for the audience. And here it comes now. Oh, I just played the wrong one. Hold on. That was my mistake. Let me stop that.
Sneak peek on what's to come, people.
Try that again. This one. God, I'm not sharing my screen.
Tree. Did someone just whisper again? Tree. You said it twice.
Yes.
Someone said it again after you.
Try that one more time, just because it was half cut off. So. Here it comes again.
What do you want to tell us? This tree. Tree?
Did someone just whisper again? Tree.
That was me.
You said it twice.
Once.
Someone said it again after you.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I mean, you can hear that plain as day without a doubt. I mean, it says tree.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yep.
Heard that.
So the girl that was whispering back to what she heard. So when we would do EVPs, I taught her on how to monitor a live recording. So using certain recorders you can actually hear the playback as it's playing. So if there's any type of EVPs on there, you're going to catch them. So I would always tell her, if you ever hear anything, please let us know. And then that way we can do follow-up questions. So that's why she repeated that back to us.
Well, so she actually heard it through the earphones while it was recording.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, because she's like, she said she heard it before anybody else, and she's like, did you say it twice? And he's like, no, once. Like, well, I heard it again. That was incredible.
So it's like real-time verification.
Yeah.
Nice technique.
So that I always do that with the recorder. So people always see me walking with headphones on and a recorder, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, monitoring, just in case we hear something. So I don't. Let me ask you guys something.
I want to ask you one quick question. Can I ask you one quick question, please?
Sure.
So when you're saying the playback, right, is it the enhanced hearing, the enhanced audio you're listening to? Is a playback?
It's like RT EVP.
Right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. So, have you guys ever captured an EVP in your own voice, like doing say you're walking and you're talking, and then you say something, and then right after you say something, you go back and you're like, "Wait a minute, I never said that."
It mimics you. It mimics your voice.
Yeah.
I've had that happen. You've had that happen. Right? I've had that happen. I say it sounds just like me, just like me. And I know that I didn't say anything because I'm the one, when I hear whispering during EVP, I'm like, stop whispering. I know I'm not that. That sounds exactly like me.
That's true. People die for less.
I'm so like,
no, it's because I've had quite a few recordings like that, and I'll watch the video back because I'll usually catch it on camera because I'm always behind the camera. So I'm usually saying something or walking around, and I'm talking out loud just to the camera. Kind of like doing a vlog, but not pointing the camera at me. I'm pointing at the location. And I was like, oh, check this out. And then I'll describe what I'm seeing and describe it. And then right after I'm saying that, during the playback, you'll hear my voice saying something else. Like saying, fuck you, get the fuck out. And I was like, what? I didn't say that.
Right.
Why would I say that to myself?
I think that happened to me too, but when we review our recorder, it doesn't sound like me. It's more on like with a bedroom voice, that girl. Remember when I say?
I thought I remember that. I'm not sure what she did.
Now we're talking pair unity right there.
That's not you. This one with a bedroom voice. Remember?
That was the one that said, "I'm the light."
I am the light.
I've never heard them mimic my voice, but we have had them mimic my, at the time, 8-year-old son.
Right.
Mimic him so perfectly, I thought it was him. And when I heard what he was saying, I was absolutely shocked.
Right.
And it wasn't him. I mean, he wouldn't even have known these words, let alone be able to say the sentences he was saying. He was 8 years old. There is no way, but what he said was, I mean, it was meant to affect me.
Can I say what the spirit said?
No. I'm sure you'd love to, but no. Like,
we also had that one in the hospital on the
That
second floor that
Cherie.
sounded like Cherie. And then I asked her, I said, did you just say something? And she's like, no. So I heard it and we caught it on the digital.
Yep.
I do remember that. I do remember that very, very well.
I just had to ask.
That's a good question, though.
No, that was great. That was great. All right, so
here, just take over the show, Rob.
All right,
it's not him.
That's not him. That's not really him. That's not really somebody.
He's being mimicked. Behind the.
Okay, so the next part I want to get into is how you. And you said it's only been like the last couple of years, but Rob creates some amazing boxes, and we've never done this before. But Rob, we actually purchased some of his equipment to put into our Evox 2.0, which we are in the process of building as we speak.
Actually, we have like what, 3-4 box with Rob?
Yeah, we have a couple of them that incorporated some of his stuff externally. This one will actually have it internal. And we're super excited about it because the results we've seen from it and what we know the build can do is absolutely incredible. And he has been a huge help in upgrading our Evox from the plain to the 2.0 version. So super excited to release it. But for anybody who, is curious about how we built it and how it functions, well, some of that now is directly from Rob, and that will be implemented into our Evox 2.0 version, which we hope to unveil probably at the Queen Mary from the Dark Zone. So we'll see what happens. But
nice.
On that note, Rob has some very interesting clips that I want to play that revolve around boxes that he's created. And the first one I want to play, and Rob, I'll let you give some background as to where you were, but this is the your RYC box, and it is the child response, it's titled.
Okay. So backstory, all of these are captured at my house. Backstory to this house, it was used as a Sunday school for the Church of Science. Next door on the property was the actual church. So when I first moved in here, started experiencing a male figure. So found out who that was, and then I saw a woman, and then also started hearing a couple of kids, both male and female, so boy and girl. So I was in my backyard doing some testing. I never test any of my equipment in the house, so it's either in my little workshop or outside. And so this box I was doing outside, and we were hearing a little kid quite often. So I said, you know what? I need to do a box session outside. I'm going to go out there. And this was pretty late at night. It was probably 1 in the morning, maybe 2. I went out and did this session.
All right. Let me play that for our audience. Give me 1 second just to set this up.
This one is awesome.
Yeah, this is so cool. All right. And here it comes now.
Hearing a lot of voices and other kids running around back here. Everybody here can help you find somebody. Who's asking for help? Did you say son? Who's looking for the mom and dad? Do you know where your mommy and daddy are? I heard boy. You don't know where mommy and daddy are? Who's a little child that just spoke? Can you give me your name? Yes. Did you just say John? What? Who's here with us? Who's the child that keeps on talking? You just said kid. I thought I heard John. This is freaking crazy. I just got such goosebumps right now.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Those are so clear.
You can hear the kid says,
Oh,
"Mommy and Daddy."
Right. You can hear the tone of his voice. You could probably predict him to be somewhere between 4 and 6. Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing, the clarity of it and the distinct sound vocals that are in it. That was amazing.
No, there was a lot. There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
There was just.
I could have sworn. Go ahead.
No, it's just there was a lot of feelings going on too when I was there. So I might have sounded a little nervous. I was kind of like caught off guard a little bit, just with some of the things that were happening in the surroundings, even, and then some of the other voices that were coming through, as you kind of heard. So there was so much stuff going on that it was kind of hard for me to even concentrate on the box at that time. So when it caught me off guard, I was like, wait, what? That's kind of like why I had that little surprised look on my face or in my voice. Just because there was other things happening around me, behind me, next to me, things like that.
Right.
Just the goosebumps just like took over my whole body to where I really didn't pay attention on what was happening until that part. It was crazy.
It was amazing. There was a part I could have sworn when you said, what's the name? I think you said, what's the name of the child? I could have sworn I heard a male voice say, "That's my son." And just even prior, before it said "Mommy and Daddy," and you were asking about, I forget the specific question. I think you said, "Who is here?" or something. I don't really remember the specific question, but I could have sworn I heard first a female voice saying "my son," and then a male voice saying "son," and then that's when you said, "Did I hear son?" And then it goes "Mommy and Daddy." I was like blown away. I was like, "Holy crap!"
No, exactly. That's exactly why I was like, "Wait," because there was so much going on. There was so many voices coming through and kind of like trying to communicate, and so I was like, "Oh shit, what?" And
So let me for those of you watching that aren't used to using these type of boxes, that the frequencies as it scans through, you hear that dibit, 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 dibit. Anytime you get a full word or you get a full sentence, that is a full connection for. I mean, we've got a lot of people that
How is that again, Chris?
Yeah, we've got a lot of people that you want to do that again? What are you doing?
I just want to hear the sound effects. Did it?
Hey, you have to admit that was good.
It was good.
It was good.
We have people that watch like Porky the Pig.
I can't even beatbox.
Anyway, that was horrible. Don't cut that part out.
All right, come on.
Anyway, so for the people that are watching that do paranormal investigations that know what this box does, you know what you're looking for. The people that are watching that don't know, that the frequencies are moving so fast. When you get a solid word or you get a solid voice or you get a sentence out of this, that is the phenomenal evidence. And if you listen to Rob's clip, so if you're watching this recorded version, you can go back and listen to that. There are multiple voices coming through in that clip. That is a phenomenal piece of evidence. Yep. And when you get a full word or you get a mommy and daddy, that is such a phenomenal piece of evidence. That is crazy awesome.
You are spot on there, Chris. That is absolutely correct. And I could not agree with all of you saying that there is so much going on in that clip. And the more you listen, the more you hear. I bet you I listened to that 20 times when I text Rob and go, oh my God, this stuff's incredible. But it was just, there's comment after comment, and there's ones that are hidden in the background, and you get the real pronounced ones where, the ones that really stand out. But there's a lot in that background, and the more you listen and the more you hear it over and over, the more you pick up. But that was incredible. Absolutely.
Yeah. Those two aspects of it really take away the whole criticism of people who don't not only know how this stuff works, but question it because they think everything is radio bleed through. When you've got simultaneous voices, you have like mommy and daddy, and then a male voice saying the son or something else at the same time. What kind of psychotic radio station is that you're picking up?
Well, exactly.
Exactly.
That's a very legitimate point.
Second of all, the idea that Chris said, it's sweeping through the frequencies very quickly, and so some people who would be critical will say, well, you could get something to come through over a range of frequencies, but not in a continuation of that kind of a length, not to mention that the tone was completely, it was unilateral. It was the same tone. There was no fluctuation.
It was consistent through the station changing. Correct.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Tasha just made a point. She said, I hate it when I can't tell if my spirit box is just picking up voices from radio or not. So let me tell you, Tasha, that even if you're using a low-grade SB7, the frequencies are moving so fast. If you pick up a whole sentence like mommy and daddy, you guarantee that's a piece of evidence that you need to record and you need to take note of, because there's no way those even the lower grade SB7s do not move slow enough for you to pick up full sentences or full phrases. So don't ever doubt your box. Even the cheapest SB7s will move fast enough that you can't pick up evidence like that.
And also, radio doesn't say F you.
No, not normally.
So, no, we're not going to advertise that word.
But that's an excellent point, Kristen. You're absolutely correct. I mean, even an SB7 will scan between 400 milliseconds down to 100 milliseconds. Any one of those ranges, you're not going to pick up a 3-word sentence off of it. It doesn't stay on it long enough to do that. So you're absolutely right. And when that voice is consistent, when you've just passed the last 5 or 10 stations, there's no way. So that was an excellent point, Chris.
I have
what
a
did
question.
You say, Laura?
I said, and it answers your question. Like, if it answers your question, what are the odds that a radio station is going to have that word that specifically
Right. Good point.
Like, with Rob's thing, I think when you say something about goosebumps, that you got goosebumps, I could have sworn it said dark skin, like relating to what you were saying. So things like that, when that doesn't just happen with the radio, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, for Tasha, who asked about that too, timing and relevance are two key components to vet any quality of information. Just if you want to rule out that it's bleed through from anything like that, when it's timed and relevant in the moment, has to do what we're talking about, for sure. Also, probably worth pointing out, and I said it's on other shows before, she's a court reporter by trade, so she hears everything. I don't even in the other room, if I'm upset, I don't even think bad thoughts because she hears them.
She doesn't belong here.
The one spirit
that was phenomenal.
That was great. That
was phenomenal.
That was absolutely amazing. And you know what? We've got another one from Rob too. And this one, I love this one. This one just amazes me. But the one spirit box message that you probably, even though it may not be easy to ignore, but like the 99-cent donut and coffee at Circle K, probably radio, but still tempting. All right. So, Rob, why don't you give a little bit of background? This one is titled, this is another spirit box session that Rob did. Again, Rob builds all his own boxes, and having known and purchased boxes from Rob and done all sorts of things.
Before you do that, let me ask Rob a quick question. How many boxes or spirit box you made so far for yourself?
Honestly, I don't have any boxes that I've made. Any boxes that I've ever built, I don't own any. I've always sold them.
The last one you just made, though, weren't you talking about?
That one's up for sale. No, I'm selling it.
You are.
It's all about the dollar bill, baby.
there's one box. I got to go grab it, but there's one box that I haven't let go yet. So I think that one I'm going to keep.
So you don't have anything for yourself, like a special box for yourself?
The one box, I think that, well, there was one I built just to demonstrate on how to build a box that's built by somebody else that isn't very liked in the field because he's a fraud. So I wanted to show how to build one.
Wow.
I had to I built it just so I could show people how to build one, and ended up selling it. But I ended up adding my radio circuit to that box, kind of like the one that I sent you out first.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I just added that on the side and let it go. But I got some crazy evidence using that box. One of them, it just scared the crap out of me because I was in my garage working, and I had it going just because I was doing some tests. I was doing some modifications, and as I'm building other stuff, I let one just run, and I get like the most crazy responses and things that I'm doing, the box is telling me. And I had a friend over one day, him and I were talking, I had a box on, and it was joining in our conversation. He turned on one of his other boxes, and we forgot we even had that one running. Then all of a sudden the two boxes started communicating with each other, and then they were asking us questions or joining in the conversation. And there was a question that came out about what we were just talking about, and we're like, how in the hell is this even possible?
Yeah, and we know that all too well, because that original box you sent us that we experimented with for the last, 6-7 months, just some incredible things came over it. And that's when I said to Cherie, let's build a new Evox and let's put upgrades in it, and let's put this circuitry in, because it does. The things we caught on that were just to die for. I mean, questions that I would never expected a spirit box to even remotely be able to answer. This thing was spitting out answers left and right, and for the most part, it was accurate as far as I knew. Right. But it's incredible. But on that note, let's give a background on the one titled "Fire in the Mirror," because I love this.
So this is the one that I was just talking about. So I kept on. So I was just working in my garage on another box, and I was just wrapping it up, and I kept on hearing, like I said, I heard a woman. Well, I saw a woman in our living room one day, and then I've heard her throughout the property outside. I've heard her inside. I saw her walk through the kitchen door, open it, shut it. Anyway, so I heard a woman's voice. So I just literally shut everything down. The lights were off in the garage. So I was like, shit, I have to run over. And I was near my box, and I'm like, I'm not going to run and turn on lights. I'm just going to light this candle, and I'm going to turn on the box. So no, I was not trying to make it creepy. It was just something I needed some light. And so I lit the candle, turned on the box, and I heard this woman's voice coming through. So I started recording the session.
All right.
Using my phone. I had to grab my phone because I'm like, I don't have anything else to record. My camera's in the house, probably not charged. So I just grabbed my phone and recorded it.
All right. Let me play this for the audience, because this one I find absolutely just amazing. So let me share this, share the audio, and here it comes.
All right, so today I'm going to do a box session using the new box that I built. So I have candle burning. So I'm using the box, the acrylic front panel as a black mirror. So I'm going to try to communicate with something that might be here. So last night and today, the house is pretty active. So I just wanted to see if I could communicate with whoever's here, and I tried to do a little box session and see what happens. So let me go ahead and turn the box on. Turn on the radio. Just so I have it set to we're only going to hear responses from the box while it's scanning. Is there anybody here that would like to communicate with us? So the house is getting pretty active. Can you tell us who is here? I know that there's 3 spirits here, but who was here today? Last night? Can you give me a name? Steve.
Anna?
Is that Anna? Anna, how can we help you? Is there anything we can help you with? Is there anything you want to say? Look closer at what? What are you referring to? What are you looking for?
Mirror.
Mirror? Which mirror are you referring to? There's a few mirrors. Are you referring to a mirror here?
Fire in the mirror.
The fire in the mirror. So you're talking about on the box. If that's what it is, I'm gonna blow out the candle. Do you still see the fire? So the fire is gone. Oh crap, this is weird. I'm a little like, what was that? Anna, are you still here with us? I'm going to relight this candle. Anna, are you still here? There's also Steve, that's their name earlier. Steve, are you here too? Oh, shit. What was that? Can you repeat what you just said, please?
Wow.
That's incredible.
It's one thing for them to have said mirror, and you could have some skeptics saying, well, mirrors, the word mirror, but for them to say right after that, fire in the mirror. I mean, come on, that's not even a commonly used sentence. fire and mirror don't go together. Fire in the mirror is exactly what they were looking at. That was incredible.
That's your documentary title right there. That's the title to the documentary or the book. Fire in the Mirror, the Rob Hernandez story.
It's also a great 70s song.
That was Tosh is right. That was awesome.
Are you there? Yeah. Fire in the Mirror is I mean, we could go over that like 100 times. We heard that. We replayed it so many times. I may have burned out my computer.
Did she send the footage in the beginning? Okay.
So then that was the thing too. I was kind of freaking out when I was seeing the reflections, and there's no. I have all the windows blacked out, and that's just why. Because sometimes I'm in here, I just want the lights, and sometimes there's reflection. Especially if I'm wearing glasses, I'm trying to solder. So I'm like, all right, I got to get out all the reflections, and I just have overhanging light. So I just made everything dark, and that's why I said, crap, I don't want to turn on the lights. It's going to take away the, I just don't like doing box sessions with all the bright lights on, especially that, because it's just so reflective. And I'm just like, crap, I'm not going to go do that. I'm just going to light this candle.
So when you say that you're going to light up the candle again, what do you think it says right after you say that?
I really didn't analyze it again.
We did.
Because I could have sworn she says fire in the mirror, and then you shut it off. When you're about to turn it on and you announce you're going to turn it on, I could sworn I heard her say, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
Okay. No, you know what? I never picked up on it. And all the videos that I upload, I never edit anything. Everything is raw. I don't put any filters, anything on anything. I just leave it raw. That's just something that I've always done, even with my EVPs. I never put any filters on them, never put any, dehissing anything. That's why sometimes they're just, they're just raw. Just because I don't want to take anything away from them either. So
it's amazing.
No, but that was great. A lot of times I don't even go back to watch my videos. I'll just post them up and not even watch them. Even when I'm putting in the video, I'll just see where the end is, cut it. All right, I'm uploading it, and I don't watch it again. So,
yeah, the bionic ear heard that. So then I recorded just that segment when we reviewed it on the WavePad and just played that specific piece over to see if she was right. Because every so often I like to win an argument, and it turns out this wasn't that time.
And how often have you said that?
No, but the shadows and things like that I just saw again, and I'm like, what was that? I was trying to figure out what it was, and looking back, I just couldn't even think of what would even cause that shadow, because it's coming from it was coming from the left-hand side, and I was standing like in the middle of the table, so there was no way anything else could have been moving. And I'm behind the candle, so it wouldn't have been my shadow. So
yeah, I noticed that too when I was watching it. It looked like something kept either ducking around or peeking around or moving back and forth. But yeah, I definitely saw that as well.
I was trying to stay out of the reflection, so I was staying, away from the candle. I was on the right side of the box, not on the left. So yeah, it's kind of weird.
You thought you were speaking to Anna? Is it Anna?
It sounded like.
Has she ever come to speaking Spanish? Have you ever spoken to her before? Is this someone new or?
No, that was somebody new. Like I said, I heard it. We've heard a woman, seen a woman. I've never. That was the first time I've ever heard her communicate. Every time I hear her, it just sounds like a distant voice. And I know it's not neighbors because I live on kind of like on the dirt road. And there's neighbors on each side of us, but the house where the church was is empty. The other people are never home. The people across the street are gone during the day. So I know that there isn't anybody around. Our street's really quiet. So usually I'll walk around making sure I'm not hearing any voices or anything, or there's not going to be any contamination before I do a box session. And like I said, I was hearing a woman's voice when I was worshiping.
Because I thought I heard Spanish in there. I thought I heard Spanish. I heard someone say "hola," like so clear, "hola."
Yeah,
Very
there's no Hispanic families around here. These are all, rich Caucasian people.
You have spirit that comes through in Spanish, but I thought I heard "hola," but.
Right.
But in the beginning, she sounded like she was from England. Like she had a
British.
She did have an accent.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as I know, there was a woman that had an accent that occupied the church. So, yeah, I don't know.
Wow. But yeah, like I said, Rob's developed some really cool stuff, and like I said, we're implementing some of it into our Evox 2.0 version. But his stuff is amazing. His responses are clear. There's no static. It's a phenomenal spirit box, and we've used it now for 8-9 months, testing it in all sorts of different scenarios. And that's when we said, okay, we got to build version 2, and we got to incorporate this circuitry into it. So that's exactly what we're doing. But just sorry.
Yeah. So Rob, you're still building the box, right? The spirit
I'm
box.
still building boxes. Like I said earlier, I was a huge skeptic. Me building boxes came as a request from another box builder. Just because I said I can do this, I could do it better. And
true.
So I challenged myself. And so actually the way that my boxes came about was I had a dead SB7, and I stripped that thing down and basically modified the board. And that's where my boxes come from. They're just a modified SB7 board. I get them from the manufacturer.
Wow.
Yeah, Tasha's asking if you sell them. So
yes,
do you want to
Tasha,
plug?
he does sell them.
I do sell them. You can message me at theparawakening@gmail.com, or just find me on Facebook.
Say that again.
theparawakening@gmail.com.
Ron, you have to go through us. You have to go through us, and we'll let him know.
We'll let him know, Ron. For 10% fee. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Rob's boxes are great, though. I'll be the first to admit that. And like I said, it's one of the reasons why we went through all the work. Shree and I have been killing each other because she hasn't had a kitchen table for the last 2.5 weeks because it's filled with electronics.
I remember the first time actually know Rob, and you don't know Rob that before, but I wanted to surprise Tony for his, I believe his birthday,
This is
Rob,
his birthday,
right?
yeah.
So I messaged Rob, hey, can you do with it? And then
He did. Rob built it, and he handed me this birthday present. I opened up, and it was a combination between a Geo box, and it sounded really cool. But so he creates some great stuff. So yeah, anyone out there listening tonight who's looking for great boxes, Rob can definitely build them for you. So check it out.
Yeah, and my boxes, they don't have any static. So that was one of the things that I removed from the box just to get clear responses. And there's also a mode where you can put it into, as you heard on the other clip, where you only get responses, you won't hear the scanning. So
I do want one. My birthday's coming up, right?
Too funny, Rod. Too funny.
It's so, it's so important. We've talked about this on numerous occasions, but it's people like Rob who are doing the stuff that he's doing for whatever reason he got started doing it, that are moving the field forward. He's experimenting with stuff. He's putting it out there. He's putting it in other people's hands. He's doing demos or instructional. Here's how you use it. Here's what it's supposed to do. And so you can't sit back and look at whatever the percentage you perceive of ignorance or not being educated in the field and go, oh, look what they're doing. They're doing it wrong. They don't understand, and not do something about it because you're part of that community. So hats off, because that's brilliant work, and you're doing it the right way, and you're sharing it out and educating people, and we need that.
I mean, I'm very passionate about this field because before I always used to think, oh my God, ITC is like crap because of, everybody using radios, things like that. But then once I sat down with a couple of people that were really into it and kind of understood what was really happening, and then, because a lot of people will listen to radio scans and you can tell when it's a radio scan. And I'll sit there, start the box session. I'm like, I'm not getting anything but, radio snippets or whatever. I'm not getting anything. And when you're not getting anything.
Right.
You'll sit there for half an hour, like, geez, this is a waste of my time. And then I'll just shut it off. But then you'll turn it on 5 minutes later, and then it's total opposite of what was happening. So, it's just crazy. So, I mean, that kept me going. And you can tell when you're not getting anything, and when you're not, don't give up. Just turn it off. It's just not the time.
Right. Wing your bet and come back. That's exactly right.
And sometimes the voices come underneath.
Yeah.
So when you are using some boxes with radio, you got to really listen intently, because sometimes underneath all that, you hear underneath the voices coming in. So
right. And
well,
also,
I mean, with me being so passionate about box building, things like that, when I see people building a box and trying to charge somebody $800, $700 for SB7 that has been put into another case and just slapped on a bunch of other stuff, and I was like, that's not a real box. Right. And they were like, who are you to say anything? And I'm like, look, you know what? You're charging way too much. Two, exactly. I mean, you're trying to do things to help improve this, not, take advantage of the gullible. So you have to be careful. I mean, if you want to buy a good box, I mean, if you're spending more than $200, don't do it. I mean, unless it's something special, but don't do it.
Thinking about anybody in particular there, Rob?
No, there was somebody I was having an argument this morning that or this afternoon that posted something that I just shook my head.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
No, it's not, and it's not that person, but it's somebody that stems from that group.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, if you're, oh, sorry, Ron, go ahead.
Good.
I was just gonna say, I mean, if your boxes are in the thousands of dollars, I mean, that's crazy.
Ridiculous.
That's insane.
Well, I'm even saying over, $600, $700. Then you're still pushing it. I mean, you have to look to see what was behind it. Was it a circuit that they designed and built, or is it just another radio that they stuffed in there and then cake decorated the box?
Correct.
Right.
That's cool.
Which is so wrong. It's so wrong to do that.
Pay the mortgage, talk to ghosts. I don't know.
Exactly, right?
Is that a choice? Yeah. Is that a choice? Because if it is, I know where I'm going.
The other thing that's important to point out, again, for people who may not know 100% of how ITC is supposed to work to begin with, the stuff that we can do, if you believe you're interacting with an intelligence or the potential for whether it's another realm, a vertical plane, whatever it is, we don't have control over that half of the equation. We don't know what energies are involved. We don't know what they need to do to connect to us. So if you turn the box on, you bought it yesterday, and then the first 3 days you turn it on, stuff's coming through. You don't go, hey, man, this thing is crap. It doesn't work, because it's not controlling everything. Like if somebody wants to talk to you on the phone and they call you, there's no conversation until you pick up your line. So the other part of the equation is not within our control. We have this thing where we need to feel like we're in control of everything. And so that's just, to me, that's important, because people will judge the equipment of, oh, it didn't work, or it doesn't work yet. And Tony has said several times, you have to experiment with it. You have to do it over and over and over again. You have to try different ways, etc. So don't jump to conclusions, I guess, is my message on here. They do work. That is phenomenal evidence that we've seen from it tonight.
Well, that's what I was just going to say too, was like with me, I mean, there was that somebody was here. I had a feeling like somebody wanted to communicate. So I didn't say, okay, time out. Let me go away. Let me go find a camera. Let me go turn on the lights. Let me go, do everything else. That person wanted to communicate. I turned on the box, did what I had to do, used my phone as a camera, and look at what I caught.
But Rob makes a very good statement there. That person wanted to communicate. Remember, the energies or spirits are energies, but at the same time, they were people. And that's the respect that we got to understand. And when they're ready to communicate, they're ready to communicate. Just because the box that you're using is not communicating with you doesn't mean the box is bad. It means they're not ready to communicate.
Right.
It's that simple.
You have to have a connection.
Well,
with
and
the
it takes that
too.
connection too. I mean, when we first started, did we flip the first box we ever owned on and voices just started talking to us? No, it took time. It took a connection to the other side for them to trust us to speak. And it grew over time, and it continues to grow today, 10, 11 years later. So, yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, and every instant is different, and you got to just keep working with it and keep trying. But for people that go, spirit box don't work, my first question to them is, well, how many do you own? How long have you been using them, and how many tests have you done? And usually the response is, well, they don't work. Why would I do that? Well, then you don't know they work.
And don't base your investigation and evidence you catch off of what you see on TV. That is the highlight reel of their investigation, guys.
Right. Yep. Right.
And it's a very complex thing we're trying to do. That the problem is a lot of times is that the vernacular that people get from TV a lot of times too will also kind of simplify in terminology what you're doing. You're talking to ghosts, and so they make it seem like it's too simplistic. In fact, scientifically, that's something that's called temporal synchronization. You're trying to, where we normally with a transceiver or transmitter or receiver within the same plane or space, transmit, receive. You're trying to do something like that on what could be similar to multiplexing, where you have multiple, bilateral communication two-way on the same channel with somewhere else, somewhere that might be a higher vibration, it might be an alternate plane, whatever. So you really have to understand the complexity behind what you're trying to do, and then when you get that voice of the child at the outdoors one, the mommy daddy thing, or the fire in the mirror thing, you really get an idea of how phenomenal that is.
Yeah,
what you're trying to do.
Yeah, completely agree. That was just incredible, and those were fantastic examples. So I just want to say thank you, Rob. Thank you for sharing these clips with us. Thank you for coming on and talking to us about what you do, how you got involved, the boxes that you built. Just some phenomenal stuff. And like I said, Sheree and I have been fans for a long time, and we're implementing some of your technology into our box. But thank you again for doing this. And we want to say thank you to all of our guests. We've had quite a few of them on here tonight, keeping track from most of them from the time that we started. So thank you, Tasha, Anthony, Allison.
And there's so many of them.
So many, I can't even list them all. But thank you guys very much. And of course, the Entity Voices team, thank you guys again for doing this show tonight. And I know we're doing an extra one Friday night with Andrea Perrin. But just great team. Chris, you want to give our typical closing line?
Guys, everybody that's in the paranormal has good evidence. Rob's a great example. I mean, the phenomenal evidence that he produced tonight, we didn't even get through it all because what we did watch was so great. But remember, no matter what happens, everything depends on you staying haunted. Stay haunted, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.